Welcome to LNN News. I'm Carolyn Day Pruitt. Here are this week's top stories. Heavy rains bring major flooding to southwest Virginia. Former Hopewell City Manager March Altman takes the reins in Petersburg. Colonial Heights welcomes a new police chief. And this week, LNN brings you a special report on the ongoing issues inside the Petersburg Fire Department. We'll be back with those stories and more after this.
My favorite thing about my job is I get to walk through the doors and see the residents smiling and happy, ready for the day to see what kind of activities we have going on. My name is Rachel Barefoot, and I'm the activities director here at Dunlop House. We do things like physical exercise, fun arts and crafts. Working with seniors is great because I like to be able to make their golden years the best they've ever had. No matter what's going on, the residents' health and well-being is our top priority.
Dunlop House, more than a house, it's home.
Hourglass Realty Group.
Opening the door to your next journey.
Welcome back to the LNN studio. First, let's take a look at national and state news. Over 300 Virginia state employees have quit their positions with the Commonwealth since May. That's according to a report from WRIC Channel 8 News. The departures coincide with Governor Glenn Youngkin's announcement that Virginia's employees would be required to return to their offices full-time beginning Tuesday, July 5th. Impacted departments include VDOT, which had 183 staff members resign, the Virginia Department of Health, the Virginia Employment Commission, the Department of Housing and Community Development, and the Department of Emergency Management. Though not all of the departing employees cited the change in ability to telework as their reason for leaving, the number and timing of the resignations are prompting many to think that eliminating telework options is causing turnover in the state government. On Wednesday, July 13th, Governor Glenn Youngkin declared a state of emergency due to major flooding in the southwestern portion of the state. Heavy rainfall on Tuesday, July 12th carried over into the early morning hours of Wednesday, July 13th, causing flash flooding in the area. Buchanan County experienced power outages as well as road and infrastructure damage because of the flash flooding. The county is still recovering from similar flooding that happened last year. Close to 40 people are currently missing after the severe weather event. The Virginia Emergency Support Team is assisting local emergency personnel in the response effort. For more on these stories and more, check out the LNN Insider. Subscribe by going to LNNusa.com and clicking on the subscribe button at the top of the page. We'll be back with local news after this.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends at the Cloud Factory, who take a customized approach to their customers. They know not everyone is alike, and neither are their needs. So, the Cloud Factory focuses on what's best for you when it comes to CBD, hemp-based products, vapor nicotine, glassware, and just about anything, providing alternative routes to a healthier you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sandy Elba.
And I'm Dr. Adam Elba.
We're chiropractors, and we love what we do.
We change lives on a regular basis. We go from pain relief all the way to wellness. We work with the cause of the problem, we help solve the problem, and put your life on a whole different path.
If you're concerned about your health in any way, or you just want to be healthier all the way around, come see us, Chester Family Chiropractic Center.
Welcome back. Let's turn to local news. On Tuesday, July 5th, the city of Petersburg officially announced the hiring of John March Altman as the new city manager. Altman comes to Petersburg from Hopewell, where he currently serves as city manager. Altman has prior experience in Petersburg as he served as deputy city manager of operations for the city in 2017. Having worked in local government for close to 30 years, Altman's experience ranges from economic development to planning to budgeting. He holds a bachelor's degree in urban affairs and planning from Virginia Tech and a master's in urban and regional planning from VCU. Altman's departure from Hopewell and hiring in Petersburg has triggered public discussion, primarily via social media, where concerns have been raised about Hopewell's financial audit status. The city is several years behind on annual audits and has struggled to catch up under Altman's tenure. While finance department and other city staff are responsible for implementing the audits, ultimately the city manager is responsible for overseeing all such operations of the city. Altman will officially take the reins in Petersburg on Monday, August 15th, with a salary of $190,000 a year. On Tuesday, July 12th, the Prince George boardroom was standing room only, packed with citizens eager to voice their opinions to the county's 5 supervisors. The topic? a report from County Attorney Tom Whitten on the discharge of firearms on private property. After 2 citizens registered complaints about neighbors target shooting, creating noise and ricochets, the county formed a committee comprised of law enforcement, county staff, and citizens to study the issue and propose a potential solution. The committee's proposal, presented to the board by Whitten during Tuesday's meeting, would require a person shooting on their own property to maintain a distance of at least 300 feet from a dwelling or structure. The distance requirement would not include the person's own home and buildings. Prince George citizens expressed their concerns during the public comment portion of Tuesday's meeting.
I've been on a committee where we've talked a little bit about this, and I don't see where Prince George County has a problem. There has been 0 problems other than a complaint from 1-2 people. That's going to happen all the time in anything. We have a noise ordinance for the majority of this problem. So I think as it stands, we should leave it the way it is.
This board voted unanimously in December 2019 to declare this county Second Amendment sanctuary as a resolution. Target shooting is an integral part of Second Amendment right and a responsible firearm ownership part. Target shooting is the exact opposite of recklessness. You practice to improve your accuracy, to make sure your shot hits the intended target. Everyone who owns a firearm is advised to practice target shooting regularly.
First of all, members of the board, you know during our strategic meetings we have public input, and the top priority in that public input was bridging the gap between the government, Mr. Stokes and his office, and you board members. Obviously, it's not working. We have gotten with our community in Buchanan, we take steps to bridge that gap. We meet with Mr. Brown once a month, and we discuss these problems with Mr. Brown. So I wanted to thank Mr. Brown publicly for taking the time to sit down with us and discuss all current events in the county with us, and invite anybody to join us. It's on the first Tuesday of every month where you can sit down and we can speak with a board member. And of course, all board members are invited to attend.
Some of the county supervisors took the opportunity to address the issue at hand during their comment portion of the meeting, and later when Whitten made his report.
I know this is a passionate situation. It was not intended to be blown up like this. I want to say this twice. I'm not telling you where I'm at 100% support of this, okay? I'm going to say it twice. This does not mean what I'm getting ready to say is 100% support of this. But what you do not have is, I've been on this board 7 years, and in 7 years, we have had, the best I can count, because I'm not keeping track of it, I asked the chief to keep track of this, umpteen phone calls. But when you've got bullets that are ricocheting, and you've got a family next door that's got kids or grandkids in a pool, and they call police, it still ties police up, okay? That is not smart gun ownership. It's not good handling of a weapon. If you can't control where that bullet's going and you can assure it's going to hit what you're aiming at.
I can tell you I've dealt with situations over the last 4.5 years that I've been on this board, and none of them yet had come to this about making any recommendations. But I've dealt with situations down in the Carson area off of Lansing Road where the houses are so close to each other, and someone walking out on their back porch and just shooting off a gun for hours with an elderly lady that lived nearby that was just horrified. And it went on for days and for hours. In that situation, I was able to pull everybody together and negotiate a time for the person to shoot, and they agreed upon that. That would be the way I would hope that we could solve all of this if everyone was just more respectful to one another as neighbors.
But I too believe the majority of the Prince George people show due respect to gun usage and gun laws and just the use of guns. I was a policeman here for 37 years. I too saw a lot of misuse of guns. But what I do want to say is there's a small group of people that do abuse other people's rights. that do the rapid fire. I'm not saying that you can't do rapid fire, but some people just do rapid fire. That's not target practice. There's a certain side of it that is target practice when you're rapid fire, but not necessarily as much as some of what I hear.
At the close of the discussion, the supervisors opted not to take any action or draft any ordinances at this time, but did ask County Police Chief Keith Early to continue collecting data on target shooting-related incidents for future study. The city of Colonial Heights officially welcomed William Ansbach III as its new police chief. Ansbach is no newcomer to the city's police department, as he retired out of it as a major in the force. Mayor Gregory Kachuba said that seeing the new chief standing before council felt almost like the movie Groundhog Day. He continued expressing excitement at the new hire and praising Ansbach's experience and leadership skills. Councilor Laura Poe, whose husband is a police officer in the department, also praised Ansbach for his years of experience and professionalism. After the brief introduction, City Council, attorney, clerk, and manager all shook the incoming police chief's hand, with Councilor Betsy Luck telling the councilors and audience, "We've got a great team." We'll be back with an LNN special report in a moment.
I love being at home. I mean, you do get a lot done. For instance, I just got pre-qualified for a home loan online with BSV. So be a homebody. Visit bsvnet.com to see what you qualify for.
Colonial Plumbing, Heating, and Air offers service with a smile. They're a family-owned and operated service company located in Colonial Heights. Their hand-picked team is dedicated to delivering top-rated service with a satisfaction guarantee.
We're different from the status quo. Our people, our service, our products. They're revolutionary.
Welcome back. A resident's worst fear just might prove to be a viable possibility in the city of Petersburg. Those living above the second floor inside the city face a higher risk of severe injury or death in case of a fire. Why? Because the city is currently relying on mutual aid for any ladder rescues above the second floor, a frequent threat in a city with multiple 3-story plus structures like Petersburg. But that looming crisis is not the only issue plaguing the Petersburg Fire Department. LNN CEO Craig Richards sat down with the president of the Petersburg Professional Firefighters Association and the service representative for the International Association of Firefighters to discuss critical issues to Petersburg's emergency services and the dangers, fallacies, and possible life-threatening risks mutual aid dependency plays in the current day-to-day operations of the Petersburg Fire Department.
Welcome to LNN News and our special report on the Petersburg Fire Department. I'm joined today with James Vick, who is the president of the Petersburg Professional Firefighters Association, Local 2773, and Scott Spencer, which is a service representative for the International Association of Firefighters. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking the time out. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the concerns that we're hearing from citizens and firefighters about the current status of the Petersburg Fire Department. I'd like to break this down in a way that maybe we can comprehend it a little better. So there's been different elements that people have been talking about and concerns. One of them has been our apparatus. So I'm going to start with that. With you, Mr. Vick, if we can go through, currently the city of Petersburg owns 7 fire engines, and 3 of those would be reserved. So let's start off first with defining what a fire engine is.
Fire engine carries water and hoses. Fire engine is the unit we use to put the fire out.
Okay. Now, we have 3 in reserve. What does it mean when a truck's set in reserve as opposed to being a main unit?
A reserve unit is used to replace a main unit when the unit is out of service for mechanical reasons or it needs to go for maintenance.
So it's a built-in backup system for it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. Out of those 7 fire engines, we need 4 in operation?
4 in operation at all time, yes, sir.
So how many units do we have in operation right now?
Currently, out of the 7 fire engines owned by the city of Petersburg, only 3 of them are in working condition.
So we're already short a unit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is there concern with one of those units with its limited capacity as well?
Yes, sir. One of those engines has a limited capacity due to its mechanical condition.
Okay, and I believe from our earlier discussion, that is an aerial water system that's not operational?
Yes, sir. That's an elevated master stream, and that is out of service and not operational at this time.
Okay, look, if we go on down the line, we have one truck that's in service.
We have one ladder truck that the city owns, and that is currently out of service for mechanical issues.
Let's move to the next. We have fire medic units. We have three of those. One is generally in service and two is reserve. What's our status of those units?
Two of those are ready for use, and one of those is out of service mechanical.
Okay. Moving on from there, we have a battalion vehicle as well.
Yes, sir, and that's in service currently.
Okay, and that's that's almost a transportation unit. That's not a.
Yes, sir. That's what the shift commander uses to get around on.
Okay, and we have also, in addition to that group, one squad unit.
Yes, sir, and that unit is pretty much a rolling toolbox. Carries tools, extrication equipment for car wrecks, different types of equipment, and that is currently replacing Truck 1. However, it has no ladders to rescue anybody.
All right, so if we look at the concerns from the apparatus standpoint, our backup system is depleted because we either have units in service or we don't have enough operational units to even fulfill the requirements to be in service. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Currently, the city of Petersburg is borrowing an engine from Colonial Heights to replace one of the engines that's out of service.
Mr. Spencer, let's go to mutual aid. Petersburg will share mutual aid during times of extreme situations, and we receive mutual aid. But with our current status, then we are relying on mutual aid right now as part of our day-to-day operations. Is that correct?
That's correct. The city's primary service is highly dependent on the help of neighboring localities.
Okay. How does that affect us as a day-to-day operational expectation?
Well, it's twofold. The process to identify and dispatch an available mutual aid resource is very limited. The city of Petersburg does not participate in the regional radio system, which allows each locality to determine the availability of mutual aid units. Second part is the delay, the response time delay that occurs whenever a resource from an outlying jurisdiction has to come into the city of Petersburg, and it does not meet the emergency response time goals that the city's fire department has established.
All right, let's make a practical application. Recently, we had a storm system that came through, and it started in Richmond, came all the way down through the area. We were requiring mutual aid at that time. What happened in that situation?
As mutual aid was requested, mutual aid from the requested locality was unavailable, so we were unable to get mutual aid that was requested.
And in that particular instance, what did we do when we were addressing that emergency situation?
Other units had to be diverted to different emergency calls.
Were we able to take care of the situation, ultimately?
Fortunately, the situation was not a dire emergency at the time, and it was both incidents going on at the same time did not require much action.
So we got lucky?
Yes, sir, we got lucky.
Now, if from day-to-day operations this does occur, currently, if I'm understanding what you're saying, if we have a fire that would go above floor 2 in any situation, apartment complex, a house, we do not have an apparatus inside the city that can handle that.
We have no aerial ladder inside of the city, and the longest ground ladder we have is one 28-foot ladder. The rest of them are 24-foot ladders, which will not reach a third-story window.
So anything from story 2 up or story 3 up is going to require and mandate mutual aid. Is that correct?
Any type of rescue, yes, sir.
Truck 1 is our ladder truck. What is the current status of that truck?
Truck 1 is currently out of service mechanical at a repair shop.
How long has it been out of service?
As of right now, this time being out of service, it has been out of service for over a month.
How many times prior has it been out of service?
Cannot honestly answer that question right now. I do not remember. It has been plagued with mechanical problems for several years.
And what's the long-term solution? We get this back in service. What then?
If Truck 1 comes back today, we need to have a plan to replace that apparatus when out of service with a aerial fire apparatus with equal or greater capability.
You have serious questions about the dependability of Truck 1 even if it comes back?
Yes, sir.
And why is that?
For years it has been plagued with mechanical problems.
Is there any notification or expectation of when the truck will be back in service?
No, sir. It's no time frame that we have been told.
As we can see from the video, engine 2 has a ladder on top of it. Why can't we use that ladder?
The boom on engine 2 is designed for an elevated waterway. The ladder that you see on top of it has folding handrails. It's really only designed for emergency last resort escape. It's not designed for rescue. If we wanted to use it in an emergency, which it's not even designed to use for, we couldn't use it because it's mechanical. It has mechanical issues that deem it unsafe to use in the fireground.
What's the longest ladder we have in service, and what does that mean?
The longest ladder we currently have in service today of units operating in the Petersburg Fire Department is a 24-foot extension ladder. With a 24 extension ladder, you can reach the second story and check up short on a third story window.
So in essence, anybody we have from second story up. In some cases, some second stories we can't reach here in Petersburg.
Depending on the setback of a second story, majority of the time you're going to be able to reach the second story with a 24-foot ladder. Third story is very, very questionable. The only way you'd reach it is just the luck of the draw.
So outside access would depend on mutual aid availability.
Outside access with a third story window would depend on mutual aid availability.
And inside access to reach victims higher than the second floor would determine the place of the fire?
It would determine where the fire is located at and if you can reach it from the outside, from a stairway to get there.
So it's true to say that without mutual aid in some circumstances, it may be plausible that we could not reach victims from the third floor up.
It is very safe to say that.
What kind of risk does that put us in overall as a city and as a overall strategy?
As a city, it puts us in great danger. We're not provided the equipment that we need to provide the service to the citizens that we've sworn to protect.
Okay. Well, let's step into another dilemma people are concerned about, and that's our current staffing. We were talking off air, Mr. Spencer, we were talking a little earlier about what other municipalities are doing in the area, what the standards are, what Petersburg is dealing with. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yes, it appears that the city of Petersburg has continued to allow their daily staffing to drop. Today, it is at the bare minimum to meet a national consensus standard for assembling enough firefighters to respond to one fire. That's a fire in a single-family home.
We're not staffed for multiple incidences.
Not to send an assignment to a structural fire.
But we are, according to national standards, meeting the minimum qualification.
Yes, all 17 members who are on duty daily meets that standard.
How are our neighboring municipalities doing as far as staffing and their compliance to this standard?
Well, over the past few years, the emergency service demand has grown in neighboring localities, and in turn, they have hired more employees and they have opened new fire EMS stations to meet that demand. The city of Petersburg has not done either.
Are you reaching out to the fire chief and the city officials to have this discussion? Have you tried to reach out and sit down with them?
Yes, sir. Local 2773 has reached out several times to the fire chief with no response.
How did you reach out? How were you trying to approach them?
On May the 16th, the local sent an email to the fire chief with no response. On May the 18th, we sent a text message with no response to the fire chief. On May the 19th, we sent a text message to the fire chief expressing our safety concerns. She texted us back that she was not going to speak with us. And on May the 26th, we hand-delivered a letter for her to receive about to speak with her and to work with her to resolve these issues, and we still have not gotten, to this date, any response.
Have you gotten any reasoning behind why the chief is not meeting with you all?
No, sir.
Your role is to represent the individuals that are part of the fire department, is that correct?
As the president of Local 2773, I represent the brothers and sisters of our local.
Okay. And in essence, that is also the group of individuals that service our community as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. On Tuesday, June 21st, the Petersburg City Council met, and that was a time when during the public comment section, several individuals from the community and individuals from the fire department stood up and spoke about these concerns. During that time, Acting City Manager Kenneth Miller told the council that he was meeting with Chief Tina Watkins the following day to discuss these exact topics and information. Have you all received any word or any contact from the city manager or the chief in regards to those meetings, if they occurred, and what the results may have been?
Local 2773 has heard nothing out of any of that.
Okay. You guys are boots on the ground. Were we actually showing up to events or situations with units that were not official or qualified units?
At one point in time, the city was replacing fire engines with ambulances.
And what point in time was that?
It's been probably a month ago.
So recent history.
Recent history.
Okay.
Ambulances are not equipped with hoses, nor water, nor ladders.
So why were we sending ambulances out to these places?
Because our firefighting equipment, suppression operation equipment, was depleted.
So you're saying basically we had to send our firefighters in these units because it was the only thing we had to get them there?
Yes, sir, correct.
Okay. What has happened to remedy that situation? Because we're not currently doing it right now.
Several vehicles were repaired, and with the addition of the Colonial Heights loaner unit, the city is able to assemble 4 frontline pumping engines.
So we're still relying on mutual aid to even be day-to-day operation?
A mutual aid engine is parked in the Walnut Hill Fire Station today.
Okay.
Being run by Petersburg Fire Department.
Okay.
However, for any aerial operations or any ladder operations, we have to rely on mutual aid today.
Okay. Gentlemen, what's the next step that you see?
Hopefully the public attention and with the assistance of telling our story, the city will realize that they need to make sure that the firefighting fleet is operational. Breakdowns happen from time to time, but there needs to be a sound plan that's reliable whenever things occur. And anything less is putting public safety at risk.
If individuals in the community would listen to our last broadcast, they see that the mayor had made a clear point that money is in the fire department budget, and we have money that we can spend for these issues. So why do we have these issues?
You'd have to address that to the fire chief and or to the city manager. Protecting an urban city from fire it takes critical resources, it takes staffing, and it takes reliable vehicles and other equipment. And until the city of Petersburg completes all those check boxes, the public safety is at risk.
You guys are day in, day out with our firefighters that are on the street. What's the morale of our team right now?
I would say our morale has gone down. Our brothers and sisters at Local 2773 and the rest of the department that is not members of the local took an oath to protect the citizens of Petersburg. And they want to be able to have every tool that's available that should be provided to them to serve the citizens of Petersburg. Also to protect ourselves. We hate for anything bad to happen, but unfortunately the way that we're operating now, it's just a matter of time before an unfortunate incident happens with either our members or our citizens.
LNN spoke with Chief Watkins, who initially declined an interview on these topics. LNN sent a text message to all 7 city councilors requesting an interview with them as well. That text message prompted a call from the city's communications director, Joanne Williams, who requested that LNN email her questions to take to the chief. That email was sent out on Tuesday, July 12th. At the time of this report, neither Chief Watkins, Williams, nor any councilors had responded. We'll have sports and weather in a moment.
Yes, you can still get haircuts, colors, highlights, waxing services, everything that's going to make you look great right here at the Apothic Company.
Bopper's Malt Shop, the niftiest place in Petersburg. Ice cream, candy, foot-long hot dogs, burgers, and now introducing the Bopper Blast, a hand-dipped vanilla shake with a blast of candy. Available in over 15 flavors. Bopper's Malt Shop, Old Town Petersburg. In this week's sports update, the Chili Peppers struggle at home and away. LNN's G. Anadipe has the details.
The Tri-City Chili Peppers seem to be in a rut as they move into mid-July. The last one was July 4th against the Martinsville Mustangs, winning 11-9. Wednesday, July 6th, the Peppers traveled to Hampton, falling 2-1 to the Peninsula Pilots. On Friday, July 8th, the team hosted the Martinsville Mustangs, falling 6-5. One night later, the Peppers lost to the Holly Springs Salamanders 5-2. Service Stadium was the site for the July 13th match against the High Point High Times. Another loss, 8-6. The Peppers have struggled in away games, but are typically strong at home. However, with this recent series of home field losses, it seems as though that home field advantage is starting to wane. The Peppers hit the road again for a July 14th rematch with the High Times in North Carolina. And again, July 15th against the Martinsville Mustangs, just before returning home on Saturday, July 16th to play the Morehill City Marlins. That's just for sports. Back to you, Carolyn Day.
Thanks, G. Now we go to Chai, the weather guy Gallahan, for a look at the weather.
The weekend is looking iffy, with temperatures hovering around 90 degrees and a chance of storms on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Lows throughout the weekend will stay around 70 degrees. On Monday and Tuesday, the high will be around 91 degrees with partly cloudy skies, lows in the lower 70s, and a slight possibility of storms overnight, Monday into Tuesday. Wednesday is looking sunny and hot, around 95 degrees, temps only dropping to the mid-70s that night. You'll need umbrellas as well as sunscreen. Back to you, Carolyn Day.
That's it for this week's newscast, but we'll see you next Thursday for the latest local headlines. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Thanks for watching LNN, News by the People, for the People. Hi, I'm Carolyn Day Pruitt.
And I'm Chai Gallahan.
Major media companies have editorialized reporting and called it news. The free press was never designed to be journalistic interpretation of the facts. LNN USA is committed to reporting facts about issues important to you, but the free press is anything but free.
LNN USA exists to serve our fellow citizens. As a locally owned and operated digital news network, we forego the expensive printing presses, costly production plants, and corporate overhead. Your membership dollars are primarily used to pay local reporters to cover local news. Reporters dedicated to investigative news and features that matter. To do that, we need your support.
Become a member, and you'll receive the LNN Insider Weekly Email, a 40-page magazine packed full of news and features you won't find anywhere else. Membership also includes full access to LNN News broadcast archives, LNN Insider magazine archives, extended interview clips not aired in the weekly broadcasts, and more.
Your membership supports local independent reporting free from corporate and political pressure and agendas. Become an LNN member today by going to LNNusa.com and clicking on the subscribe button at the top of the page.